is first to understand the application of concepts while we are solving questions of the GMAT's context. So basically, the basic concept were covered in the concept files, and we already sent that to you to ensure that you take a look at them. In this webinar, we are primarily focused on solving questions, and we'll know how to solve questions, how to use the concepts that we have learned to solve the questions that we have at hand. Also, we'll be discussing about the key takeaways from the session, and I would want you people to write all of that down to ensure that you do not make the same mistakes again. Thirdly, I would also highlight the possible gaps in your current preparation so that you have an idea on what things to work to get to that target GMAT quant score, right? So let me come to the concepts that we would be covering in this webinar. We would be covering questions on linear inequalities, quadratic inequalities, absolute value equations, and absolute value inequalities. So inequalities and absolute values are something that we would be going through this webinar. The webinar is a progressive webinar, and what do I mean by that? We'll start with some easy questions so that you get a feel of GMAT algebra, and once we are done with that, so we have 6 questions, the problem solving questions, which we call as the warm-up quiz. And with all the learnings that we get from these 6 questions, we'll try to move into the difficult questions, which are the 5 problem solving and the 3 data sufficiency questions that we would be solving in today's session. So with that, let me start off with the warm-up sections. Now, the questions that we would be discussing in the warm-up sections, would be of the level 550, 600, not that difficult. And we'll ensure that we'll learn a lot through these questions, even though they're not that difficult, right? And then the solutions for these questions again would not be that detailed because they are not that difficult. And we'll also talk about the different faltering points that students essentially have when it comes to this topic. Right, with that, let's move on to the first question. Now, before I move ahead with the first question, I won't time you people in this session. In this session, you guys would be timing yourself. So let me get the answer poll over here for question number 1. Just give me one moment, please. All right, so you can see the answer poll for question number 1. What I would want all of you is to select still solving. Now, when 80% of people who selects another answer choice apart from still solving, that's when I call time. So I don't time yourself in this session. You guys time yourselves, right? So let's get to 60 people click on still solving, please. I see 40 people have already clicked on it. The poll that you can see to the right of your screen, in that poll, let's get 60 people mark us still solving, please. 58, 59, 60. That sounds great. All right, I'm going to stop broadcasting the results and let's move ahead with the first question. The first question is on your screen. All the best, guys. All right. So last 3 seconds for this question. Three, two, and one. Let me end the poll over here and broadcast the results. Now, in this question, what we see is 80% of you have answered choice B, and around 7% of you have answered choice A for this question. All right. So let's first understand the question. It's a very easy question. The question asks me, what is the range of values for y if 4y plus 10 is greater than minus y? Now, to solve basic questions like these and inequalities, what you need to do is you need to bring like-looking terms to one side of this inequality, right? So essentially, what we see here is I have a 4y here, I have a minus y here. So what I would do is take minus y to the left-hand side of this inequality, and then take 10 to the right hand side of this inequality. So this way we have the variables in one side, we have the constants in the other side. When you calculate this, what you can see over here is 5y plus 10 is greater than 0. And when you take 10 to the right hand side of this inequality, we get 5y is greater than minus 10. Now, divide both the sides of this inequality with 5, and then you get that the value of y is greater than minus 2. So the answer for this question is option choice B, right? Now, Max, as a question for me is, at what point do you flip the sign of the inequality? So I'll come to that, but as of now, let's just take that whenever we multiply a negative number to that entire inequality expression, the sign of the inequality would be changed. Max, I hope your doubt is cleared. With that, let's move ahead with the second question. Let me hide this poll over here and bring the poll for question number two. All right, guys. So here's the poll for question number two. You know the drill. Please select still solving. Let's get 60 people mark as still solving. And the faster you do this, the faster we discuss the questions as well, right? I have 45 people who have marked as still solving. Let's get to another 15 more. 56. I'm waiting for 4 more, 3 more. Let's take 58. Come on, guys. Please mark us still solving. Please be a bit more um, participative. All right, thanks a lot. So I'm gonna close broadcasting the results, and let's move on to the second question here on your screen. All right, 15 more seconds for this question. 15 more seconds. If you've not marked the answer, please mark it on the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. I'm going to end the poll over here and broadcast the results to. All right, so 60% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice B, and almost a fair share between choices A, C, and D. The answer for this question is choice B, and kudos to all 49 of you who got this question correct. Now, let's look at the question. The question again is a very simple form of inequalities, but right in this question, it's a bit more involving because we have two variables. We need to find out the range of values of y. So we need to find the range for y, and then we have two inequalities given to us. Now, if we need to find out the range of y, what should be our target? What do we need to exclude from these two inequalities? I've opened the short answer poll where I want you people to tell me, if I need to find out the range of values of y, what do I need to do for these two equations? What do I need to eliminate? Yes, I would have to, eliminate x over here. So what I do, I see that, the two equations that I have with me is x minus y is greater than minus 3 and minus 2x plus 3y is greater than 4. So here I have a minus 2x, here I only have an x. So what I need to do is I need to multiply the first inequality by 2 to get plus 2x plus 2y is greater than minus 6. Now, when I add both these inequalities, we can eliminate the x part. And then what do we have? We have minus 2 plus 3y, which is essentially plus y, minus 6 plus 4, which is minus 2. So hence, the answer for this question becomes y greater than minus 2, which is choice B. Now, a very important thing that we need to learn from this question, rather two very important things that we need to learn from this question is first, um, when we are talking about finding out the values of one variable, it can only be done when the second variable is not in the expression. So first thing first, we need to eliminate essentially the values of the we need to eliminate the other variables that's present in the question. The second thing, as what you can see over here, is we added both these inequalities. Now, can we add any inequalities that we see? No. The thing is, we can add those inequalities only if the sign of both the inequalities are same. So inequalities with the same sign can be added together. If we have a, let's say, greater than inequality sign and a less than inequality sign, we have two such expressions, we cannot add both these expressions. So this again is a very, very important takeaway for this question. Right, so let me end the poll over here, clear all the answers and hide out this poll over here. We'll now move on to the third question, and you know the process. Please mark still solving. I have 52 people over here. All right, I've got 60 people, so let me close broadcasting the results and let's move ahead with the third question here on your screen. All right. 10 more seconds for this question. If you've not marked your answers, please mark on the poll over here. Let's take 10 more seconds to mark the answer for this question. Three, two, and one. All right. So let me end the poll over here and broadcast the results. Now, very interesting. Okay. I see almost a similar set of people marking choices A, B, and C. I also have 8 people who have marked choice D for this question. Now, what is the question telling me? How many non-negative integral values of m? So we need to find out the values of m. Again, I'm opening the short answer poll. You people tell me, what do I need to eliminate? To get to the value of m, what do I need to cancel out? I need to cancel out an absolutely correct, absolutely perfect. All right, so essentially, just give me a second. Let me end the poll over here. Thank you for all of your answers. And now, so my target is to first eliminate n. Now I see a minus n over here. I see a plus n over here. I also see that both these inequalities are with the same sign. And what did we learn in the previous question? Inequalities with the similar signs can be added together. So when I add both these inequalities together, I can cancel off n, and then I find out that the value of minus 4m is greater than minus 10. Now, this is a mistake that a lot of people would make. That is, essentially you cancel off the negative signs, but we cannot randomly cancel off negative symbols when we are working with inequalities. When we are canceling off the negative symbols, essentially means that we are multiplying the entire inequality with minus 1. So 4m minus 4m times minus 1 becomes 4m, and then minus 10 times minus 1 becomes plus 10. So when, as I told you, when we multiply an inequality with a negative number, the sign of the inequality would change. So from a greater than sign over here, the sign over here right now would be a less than sign. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make. So we need to be aware of this specific scenario to ensure that all the questions that we do next, we do not commit the same mistakes again. So now, if you divide both these sides of this inequality by 4, and you get the value of m to be less than 10 by 4, which is 2.5. So what are the integral values? Non-negative integral values are very important constraint given in this question. So the non-negative integral values are 0, 1, and 2. How many possibilities? 3 possibilities. So the answer for this question is choice C and not choice B. Now, people who mark choices A and B as your answers. I'm opening the short answer poll over here. I want you people to tell me, where did you go wrong? Why did you mark choice A or choice B? All right. I see a lot of you tell me that you did not consider 0, right? Again, so what does that tell us? That tells us that we need to read the question statement properly. If we do not do that, we are bound to miss the constraints given in the question. Here, a non-negative integral values is a very important constraint, right? So this is something that we have to keep in mind, right? So let's move ahead with the next question. And with that, let me end the poll, clear all the answers. Let me also highlight the poll over here. And now we'll move ahead with the fourth question. The fourth question, before I take that on your screen, you know the drill. Please mark a still solving over this poll. Let's get 60 people mark a still solving over here. I have 30 people only, and that's the reason why I broadcast the results, because I want you to see how many people do we have who has marked it, and the faster you mark, the faster I give you the next question. All right, I have 60 people, so I'm gonna close broadcasting results, and let's move ahead with question number 4 here on your screen, guys. All right, 5 more seconds for this question. Let's take another 5 seconds. Mark the answer in the answer poll. 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll over here and let me broadcast the results. Now, for this question, 60% of you tell me that the answer is choice C. And I also see another, you know, almost 30% telling me that its choices A, B, or D. All right. Now, in this question, we are going to learn two approaches, and these two approaches would be, handy in case of questions in the questions that you would be seeing in your exam, and that is the reason we want you to understand both the approaches together. Right. All right. Now, what is the question that's given to me? What is the range of x for the inequality? And then I have two numbers. The value of the inequality is greater than 0. Essentially, the product of these two numbers, x minus 2 and x minus 3, is greater than 0. Now, I'm going to open the short answer poll. And what I want you people to tell me is when is a product of two numbers greater than 0? When do two numbers, when multiplied together, uh, give out a product which is greater than 0? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. When both the numbers are either negative or when both the numbers are positive. So essentially both the numbers should be having a same sign. So x minus 2 and x minus 3 here should be having a same sign. So let's understand how to solve this question using that method first. So as you people already told me that when both of these are either positive or negative. So when both of these are positive, let's take one by one. So x minus 2 is positive. That means x minus 2 is greater than 0. Similarly, x minus 3 is greater than 0. From this, x minus 2 being greater than 0, we can say that x is greater than 2. And from the second condition, we can say that x is greater than 3. Now, you can either visualize this or draw a number line at your end to understand how to get the common region for x. So since x is greater than 2 and x is greater than 3, the common region to satisfy both these inequalities would be x greater than 3. That's the first case. The second case is when both of these numbers are negative, are less than 0. Now, if x minus 2 is less than 0, then x is less than 2. If x minus 3 is less than 0, then x is less than 3. So then again, combining these two, what is that common region? You might have to draw a number line to understand this at your end. But when you focus and you understand that the common region when that's essentially takes both these inequalities into account is when x is less than 2. So we have two possibilities, one x being greater than 3, the other x being less than 2. So the answer for this question thus is choice C. So this is this would work for this question because we know the product when e is greater than 0, that essentially means that both the numbers are either positive or negative. But there's another way to solve out this question, and that method is known as the wavy line method. So to understand that wavy line method, and I'll also give you another reading resource so that you can essentially get a proper grasp on wavy line method. And so just one moment for that, and let's solve this question, and then I'll give you that resource. So for wavy line method, what we need to understand is the first thing that we need to do is draw the roots that we have for this inequality on the number line. So we have these two numbers, x minus 2 and x minus 3. What are the roots for x minus 2 and x minus 3? They are 2 and 3. So we need to visualize these points 2 and 3 on the number line. Once we do that, we now have three regions. One region is from 3 to positive infinity. The other region is from 2 to negative infinity. And the third region is from 2 to 3. Just give me one moment. Let me bring out the yes no poll. All right. Is it clear up till this point? Can you please mark a yes? We first need to ensure that we know the roots and then mark them on the number line and then get the regions from the number line. All right, that sounds perfect. So I'm going to end the poll over here and then clear all the answers. Let me also hide out the poll. So now we have three regions. Now let's take any number, or let's take one region first. So let's take the region where the region is greater than 3, let's assume. So for x being greater than 3, both of x minus 2 and x minus 3 are positive. And what would happen when we multiply both of these? We get a positive product. So is it in line with the question? Yes, it is. We are getting a positive product. So the region into consideration is a possible region as well. Let's go to the second region, that is from 2 to 3. Now, when x is between 2 and 3, x minus 2 would be a positive number, but x minus 3 would be a negative number. What happens when I multiply a positive and a negative number together? We get a negative product. Is it in line with the question? No. The question tells me that I need to have a positive product. So that means this region is something that I cannot consider for the answer. And similarly for the third region, when x is less than when x is less than 2, x minus 2 is negative, x minus 3 is also negative. And what happens when I multiply both these numbers? I get a positive result. Is it in line with the question? Yes, it is. So I can easily consider the third region, which is less than minus 2. So what are the two regions that I can consider for this question? One is from minus infinity to 2. The other is from 3 to infinity. And hence option choice C becomes the right answer choice for this question. So is the wavy line technique clear to all of you? Is the wavy line technique clear to all of you? It's very simple. What you need to keep in mind is, let's just first walk through the processes or the steps. The first step is you visualize the points. What are the roots for this inequality? We have the roots as 2 and 3. Whatever the roots are, we'll have to put them on the number line. After putting them on the number line, we'll have regions, and then consider each region to see whether these expressions over here turn out to be positive or negative. Based upon whatever the turnout, either positive or negative, find out their product. If the product is in line with the question, that region is you can take that region. If the product is not in line with the question, then you won't be able to take that region, and that cannot be a part of your answer, right? To know more about the wavy line method, and let me share out the poll over here, you can simply click on this wavy line method over here. To That would take you to a GMAT club page where we have written a full article on how to use wavy line technique to solve questions. Right? So let me hide out the poll over here and let me take you to the next question. That is question number 5. Now, same process. Before I give you the question, please mark a still solving over here. I have 48 people, 52. Okay, I need 7 more. 57, 59, 1. All right, thanks a lot. So let's move on to the next question. I'll stop broadcasting the results. And here is question number 5 for you. All right, 10 more seconds for this question. If you have not marked your answer, please mark it on the poll over here. Let's take another 10 seconds to mark our answers. All right, 3, 2, and 1. I'll end the poll and broadcast the results. So I see 50% of you have marked choice C, 23% of you have marked choice D. All right, that's I guess yes, they are the opposite sets, right? All right, cool. Now, in this question, what we are given is somewhat an involved expression. And why do I call it so? Because we have a fraction, right? We have a fraction. And then it's said that we need to find the range of x. And the value of this fraction is less than 0. That means it's a negative number. So let's first understand how do we tackle such questions? How do we tackle questions where we have a fraction and we have an inequality sign? Now, let me ask this question to all of you and I'll open the short answer poll. A positive number, a perfect square. A perfect square is a non-negative number. Is that true? Please mark a yes. Please write a yes or a no. A, a perfect square is a non-negative number. Is that true? Yes, it is true, right? So here as well, we'll apply something like that itself. So let me end the poll over here and clear all the answers. Now, what we need to do is get rid of this denominator. So what we do is can I multiply both the sides of this inequality? That is the fraction on the left hand side and the 0 on the right hand side by x plus 4. No, we cannot do that. Why can't we do that? Because uh, x plus 4 can be negative or positive. If it's positive, that won't affect my sign of inequality. But if it's a negative number, it would change my sign of inequality. So that would give birth to two cases, and I don't want to further increase the complexity of the question, and that is the reason I'll not do that. So what I do is I multiply with a positive number. What is a positive number in this case? It's x plus 4 whole square. And as you people have already told me, a perfect square is always non-negative. If it's non-negative, it's either 0 or positive, right? But so that's something that we have to keep in mind. So when I multiply this entire expression with x plus 4 whole square, then the x plus 4 that we had in the denominator, that would cancel out, and we have another x plus 4 in the numerator. So finally we can write x plus 4 times x minus 3 is less than 0. Now, less than 0 again can be done with two processes. Process 1 is where you tell that one number is positive, the other is negative. That would also work. The other way is the wavy line technique that we discussed. So if we utilize the wavy line technique, what are the two roots of this expression, x plus 4 and x minus 3? The two roots are minus 4 and plus 3. What we would do is we'd note them down on the number line. We have three regions. One region is from 3 to infinity. The other region is from minus 4 to minus infinity. The third region is from minus 4 to 3. You take the three regions, you calculate the values, and the only value where I'll have a negative product would be when x lies between minus 4 and 3. And that is the reason we mark choice C as the correct answer choice. One other method that we can also, one other rather a short a trick that you can use is, if you're not feeling, but we again do not recommend you that, but if you're not understanding on any number on this region, what effect does it have on these two numbers, I would recommend to take a number from this region. So from 3 to infinity, take a number, let's say, to be equal to 10, and then see what is the effect of 10 with the value of these two value of the product remains a positive number or a negative number. That also might work. That also would work rather. in these kind of questions. But again, when we are dealing with wavy lines, it's always better to work in ranges because the answer as well would come in a range, right? So I hope this solution is clear to all of you. Again, if any one of you have any problems in Waveland, I had shared the link with you, I'll share the link with you again, and go to that article, read out the entire process on how it works, and you would be completely aware of the process and you would use it seamlessly. With that, let's move on to the last warm-up question, and let me hide out the poll over here, bring out the poll for question number 6. All right, can you please mark a still solving, guys? We'll go to the last question of the warm-up section and then we'll start off with the GMAT level question. We have 51 people. Let's get another 8. I'm looking for another 3 people, 3 more. All right, thanks a lot. So I'm going to stop broadcasting the results and let's move on to question number 6 here on your screen. All right, 5 more seconds for this question. If you have not marked your answers, please mark it. 3, 2, 1, and 0. So I'm going to end the poll over here and broadcast the results. Let's see how have you fared in this question. So 10% of you tell me that the answer for this is option choice A. 65% of you tell me that is choice C. All right, so let's move into this question. The question tells me which of the following inequalities is equivalent to modulus of x plus 3 less than equal to 5. Now, just 1 second, please. Let me get the yes no poll for all of you over here. Clear all the answers. All right. Now, I want you to tell me a yes if you have taken a number from the options and then checked whether the equation is satisfied or not. If you have used that technique to solve out this question. I'm very, very happy to see that 3/4 of the class has not used the technique. So that's a very good, that's a very good thing that you have already inculcated within your habits. And I tell this to my students. It's all about inculcating those good habits in your preparation. Right. So let me clear all the answers. Just 1 moment, please. And let me end the poll over here. All right. So with that, let's understand this question. We need to find out the range of x. We have an absolute inequality that's with us. So essentially, it really becomes very easy when you substitute in these kind of questions. So what I've done over here is I've substituted x plus 3 to be equal to z. Now, once I do that, the equation really becomes very simple. I can write that mod of z is less than equal to 5. Now, with the knowledge that we have, we can write that if mod of some number is less than some number, the range belongs to the positive and negative value of that number itself. So z would belong would lie in the range of -5 to 5, both included. So that is one way of doing this, right? Now, once you do this, the final answer is not in terms of z, it's in terms of x. So finally, what you need to do is replace z with x plus 3. Once you replace z with x plus 3, we have -5 less than equal to x plus 3 less than equal to 5. So what we need to do is subtract 3 from all the three parts of this inequality. And only then we'll only have a x in between. So when we subtract 3 from all the three parts, we have an x in between, and then we have -5 minus 3, which is -8 to the left, and then -5 minus 3, which is sorry, +5 minus 3, which is 2 to the right. So now we can say that the value of x lies between -8 and 2, right? So this is the way in which I would want all of you to solve questions based on absolute values and essentially absolute inequalities. Now, a very important feature, a very important process skill that we call here at e-GMAT is visualization. And we can also visualize this question when we say that some number is less than equal to 5. It means that if I'm talking with respect to 0 on the number line, this number needs to be at a distance of 5 units from 0, right? This number needs to be at a distance of 5 units from 0. So I'm going to go to that point, that would make things that would make things more easy for you to understand. But before that, again, this is the basic method in which we solve absolute inequalities questions, and I hope this is now clear to all of you. Let's talk about the distance method that I was talking about. Now, here, let's take an analogy at first. Let's take you and your friend, Mr. X. Now, when you and your friend, Mr. X, are, let's say, on a straight line, so this is you, Mr. Y, and then you have Mr. X. When both of you are in a straight line, how do you calculate the distance? You simply measure from here to this point, right? This is how we calculate the distance. Or if I say that he is at a coordinate of 5 units, you are at a coordinate of 1 unit, I'm going to open the short answer poll. Can you people tell me what is the distance between X and Y? X is standing at, let's say, 5 unit, a point which is marked 5 on the number line. Y is at 0.1. Absolutely correct. We subtract the two numbers to get the distance between the two people. We'll do something very similar in this question as well. So let me end the poll over here and clear all the answers. We'll do something very similar. So what you did is you subtracted 1 from 5. Here as well, we are going to subtract the distance. So, we can see that the inequality that's given to us, the mod value is x plus 3. But we know that we need to subtract something from x to get the distance. Here, the distance would be calculated as 5. So I'm looking at a distance, or I'm looking at a friend who is within 5 meters of distance from me, right? This is what we would look at the question like. So again, I need to do what? I need to subtract two distances. But here in the question stem, I have an addition sign. How do I subtract? And how do I get an addition sign? When we multiply two negatives together. So I can write x plus 3 as x minus of minus 3. So that tells me what? That tells me you are x. You are standing at, let's say, point x. Your other friend is standing at point minus 3. How can we calculate the distance? We subtract minus 3 from your coordinate, which is equal to x. So x minus that distance should be the distance given in the question, which is less than 5 units. So you can plot this on the number line. Consider that to be minus 3, where your friend is standing. You need to be within 5 meters of your friend. So you can either go 5 units to the left or you can go 5 units to the right. So what is 5 units to the left? It's -8. What's 5 units to the right of -3? It's +2. So hence you can say that you can stand on any point on this region that is from -8 to 2. This is how you can visualize inequality absolute values in terms of distances. um, Again, let me bring in the yes no poll. Is this method clear to all of you? All right, that sounds perfect then. So I'm going to end the poll over here. Thank you for your answers. Let me clear all the answers. And let's move ahead to the next section. So I'm also going to hide out this poll over here. Now, the overall feedback for this warm-up section, I'll come to this, but I'll open the short answer poll. Let's see how many questions out of these 6 did you get correct. Can you please mark your answers in the short answer poll? How many questions out of these 6 did you get correct? All right, I'm so very glad to see this. A lot of you tell me that you got all the questions correct. That's perfect. All right, I'm going to end the poll over here and clear all the answers. Now, for anyone who did not get any question correct, or anyone who could not understand the process of solving questions, even if you got that correct, even by a fluke or some other method, what I would suggest to you is please ensure that you have a 200% clarity in the concepts that are present. If you're not good with concepts, you won't be able to apply those concepts. Application of the concepts require you to know the concepts at the first place, right? So you have the access to all these videos in your free trial. Go to your free trial, access the videos, learn the concepts. Post learning the concepts, you can apply these concepts in GMAT questions. And please understand that GMAT questions require a much advanced level of application of these concepts, right? And that is the reason you need to have a very good you need to have a very good idea of the concepts at the first place. With that, if in case any of you are, if let's say, if you are not being able to understand, where do you start from? How do you go about your preparation? If any of you are facing that issue right now, what I would say is talk to one of our GMAT strategy experts. If you are not a student of e-GMAT, this is a completely free feature for all of you. He would help you to understand the milestones. He'll help you to make those metrics to possible uh, for you, which you can essentially track while studying, and see if you're improving or not. You can simply click on the schedule button, or you can also, what I'll do is I'll launch the link for all of you. Now, what you need to do is basically choose your problem area, as you can see on the screen. And I'm sure that you are pretty much would belong to any of these problem areas, because these are the ones that we found out to be the most frequent ones. If you are belonging to this any of these problem areas, click on that tile. It'll and then click on this help me reach my target score. This will take you to a Calendly page where you can choose your own time and date to book this call of yours. In case if you do not have if you do not have a slot available, write to us. We'll provide you a slot, right? But getting a study plan is really very, very important, because you need to know what do you need to do in the shortest amount of time possible, right? Then you also need to fill out a quick form. This form would help our mentor to get to understand you in a better fashion. So please ensure that you fill out this form, and then once you're done, then you would get an email confirmation on your mail ID. Now, if you're an e-GMAT student, this feature is already available in your account, right? So please ensure that you use this feature, because that will help you a lot, making those goals for you and making that study plan for you, which you can follow. A very, very important thing is you need to attend the onboarding sessions, which happen twice a week on Thursdays and Fridays. We run readiness sessions as well, and if you're taking the GMAT within the next 15 to 30 days, attend these sessions. Let us know in case you need any more extra help. We are available for you, for that. So attend all these sessions that we already have for you, and in that process you would get to understand the test in a much better format. And once you do that, it's really very easy to go to your target score, right? So with that, let me hide out the poll over here and also hide out the link of the call over here. With that, let's move into the difficult question. So, and before that, I'll also suggest you to please go through the free trial. You have the concepts, you have the quizzes, everything is available for free. Go and learn over the free trial account that you already have, or if you do not have, create one. It'll give you a very good idea on GMAT, algebra inequalities, and absolute values. Right? So let's move ahead with the next question. Let me bring out the poll for all of you. Okay, we have the poll. Can we please get the still solvings over here? I see only 9 people to have clicked. Let's get to 60 people mark are still solving, and then let's move on to the next question. I have 50 people who have marked are still solving. Let's get another 10 people over here. 54, 55. Come on, guys, a bit more participative, please. I'm still looking for 4 people over here. So please mark us still solving and we'll get to the next question. 59. I just need one more. Thanks a lot. All right, let's move on to the next question. Let me close broadcasting results and then let's move on to question number 1. All right, 5 more seconds for this question. 3, 2, and 1. Let me end the poll over here and broadcast the results. Now I can see that 61% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C. Now this again is not that difficult a question, right? So let's get to this question. What is the range of x if 16x plus 32 is greater than 48x plus 96? Almost similar to the first warm-up question, where we talked about what? Where we talked about bringing like terms together, right? In this question as well, we'll do the same thing. So we'll bring 48x to the left-hand side of this inequation, and we'll take 32, which is a constant term, to the right-hand side of this inequation. what do we see? We see that 16x minus 48x, which is minus 32x, is 96 minus 32 is greater than that, which is greater than 64. Now, again, if you multiply both the sides of this inequality with minus 1, I would get to the value of x and not minus x. So I'll do that. And I see that the value of 32x is less than 60 minus 64. Oh, two things here. First, is the sign of the inequality changed from a greater than sign to a less than sign? Second, I have a minus 64 in place of a 64. Then divide both the sides by 32, you get the value of x, which is less than minus 2. So the answer for this question is x less than minus 2, which is choice C. So 61% of you who marked choice C is absolutely correct. Now, people who have marked choices B and choices D. I'm going to open the short answer poll. I want you people to tell me what went wrong for this question. People who have marked choices B or D. What went wrong? Because I see a lot of you have marked choices B, D, even E. All right. And did any of you, try to plug in values to check whether you are to check the answer? People who have marked choices B, D, or E, did any of you do that? All right. One way to solve these questions is definitely plugging numbers, but again, that trick won't work when you have difficult questions, right? Right. So that's something that we want you to keep a note of. If it works in this question, it would work in this question, but not in the other questions. All right, so let me clear all the answers from here and also clear all the answers from this part. Let's move on to the second question, which is based out of, again, linear inequality, but you know the process. Please mark us still solving. Let's get the people marking us still solving. I also have a question here. Can you please explain after the sign change? Yes, after the sign change, what we have is 32x is less than minus 64, right? So when you divide both the sides of this inequality with 32, you get x, which is less than minus 2. So you have the range of x. You just need to see which option is correct. X less than minus 2 means all values are acceptable from minus infinity to minus 2. And that's the reason option C is the answer, right? I only see 37 people who have marked still solving, guys. Can you please be a bit more participative in this? And then mark still solvings, it helps me count time as well. Okay, why did I change the sign over here? We changed the sign over here because whenever we multiply the inequality with a negative number, we have to change it, right? We have to change it. Whenever you multiply an inequality with a negative number, ensure that you change it, because it's from x is less than minus 2, right? So all numbers which are less than minus 2 can be considered. So what is that range we are talking about? From minus infinity to minus 2, right? All numbers which are to the left of minus 2, that's how you see a number line, right? So let me end the poll over here. Again, if the question asks you to do that, you can do it in the last step, but that's again your choice. Just ensure that you change the sign once you are doing this, right? All right, let me clear all the answers and let's move ahead with the next set of questions. I see the broad still solving over here. Let's move to question number 2 here on your screen. All right, 5 more seconds for this question. Please mark your answer if you have not marked them yet. 3, 2, 1, and 0. So let me end the poll over here, and let's get to this question. Now we need to find out the minimum value of integer x. So two very important constraints over here. One is x is integral. Second is we need to find the minimum value. So let me broadcast the results and see how you did it. um, I see 46% of you tell me that the answer is choice A, 31% of you tell me that the answer is choice B. Now, right at the first place, before even moving into the answer for this question, I'm opening the short answer poll. What I want you people to tell me is why choice A is incorrect. Why is choice A incorrect? Absolutely. It's not an integer. So almost half of the class missed this simple constraint given in this question. Again, from my end, you need to read the entire question properly. If you do not do that, you would end up wasting time because this question is not giving you any result, right? Any positive result. So a very important thing is to read the question properly before you attempt the question. All right. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. Let me clear all the answers from here and dive into this question. So I need to find out the minimum value of integer x. So what do I have? I have two inequalities. Now I need to calculate both these inequalities. The first inequality is something that we had in the last question, right? And from the first inequality, we found out that x is less than -2. Let's move ahead with the second inequality. The second inequality is 17 plus 3x is greater than x plus 6, greater than equal to x plus 6. Again, take the x to the right hand side of this left hand side, take the 17 to the right hand side of this inequality. You get the value of 2x. Now let me write that down for you, to be greater than equal to -11. Then what you do? Then you divide both these inequalities by 2, right? Both the sides of this inequality by 2 to get the value of x is greater than equal to -5.5. So x is less than -2, x is greater than equal to -5.5. What are the different possible values of x? It is from -5.5 to 2. Now, I need to find out the minimum value. The minimum value over here is -5.5, but that cannot be counted as the answer because we need to find the integral value of x, right? So what is the next integral value to -5.5? It's -5, and hence that is the answer for this question. So if I mark choice A, which a lot of you have marked, again, you did not read the question statement properly. That is the reason you missed this constraint. A very important thing. Please ensure that you do not make this mistake, right? um, so this is something that we have to keep in mind. Another thing which Asif also asked, which is why is choices D and E marked with a silly mistake over here. Now, a lot of times people also see that these are negative numbers, and they are so they fail to understand that they are not the minimum value. Maybe they are trying to get to that maximum value part, and that is the reason a lot of students make a mistake even here. And even in this place, I can see 7 people marking choices D or A, right? So that's another mistake that you can make, but not a profound, not that frequent, I would say, right? All right, let me clear all the answers from this poll, open the poll over here. Let's move into the next question. Question number 3 is a very nice question. Can we please get the still solvings, please? Can we please have the still solving over here? All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3 on your screen. All right, 10 more seconds for this question, guys. Let's take 10 more seconds, mark the answers if you have not marked them yet, and then let's discuss this one. Three, two, and one. Let me end the poll over here and broadcast the results. So I see 35% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A. 28% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice D. Now, all right. Let me bring in the yes no poll and let me take out this board over here. Just give me one moment, please. And let me bring the yes no poll. Now, let me ask you this question. If I told you that z square plus 4 is always a positive number, would I be correct? Please mark a yes or a no. If I told you that z square plus 4 is always a positive number, would I be correct? I would be correct, right? I would be correct. So thank you for this. And let's discuss this on the short answer poll as well. So I'm gonna end the yes no poll, reopen the short answer poll. 4 is a positive number. What is the minimum value that z square can take? What is the minimum value that z square can take? 0, right? 0 is the minimum value that z square can take. Why? Because z square is a perfect square, and we know that for all perfect squares they have a non-negative value. What is the minimum non-negative number, smallest non-negative number? It's equal to 0. And that's why we can say that z square is either 0 or greater than 0. With that, we have a 4 attached. So the minimum value of z square plus 4, can you people tell me what is the minimum value of z square plus 4? In the same short answer poll over here, what is the minimum value of z square plus 4? Absolutely correct. It's equal to plus 4. It's equal to plus 4 because z square is a non-negative number. With that, I have a plus 4. So what is the smallest non-negative number? 0. So z square is either 0 or greater than 0. With that, we have a 4. So 0 plus 4. The value of z square plus 4 is either 4 or greater than 4. Something that we have to keep in mind. Something that's very, very essential for this question and for all GMAT quant it's very important. Now, so what do we have in this question? We need to find out the range of values of z square given this inequality. Now, in this inequality, what we have is a positive number and then another number over here. Now, I cannot comment anything on z square minus 2 because it may be positive, it may be negative. But for sure, since z square is greater than equal to, this should be equal to greater than equal to 0, z square plus 4 has to be greater than equal to 0, greater than equal to essentially greater than equal to 4. Now, so it's a positive number. We can simply take that away from this entire calculation part because it's not that much required, right? It won't affect the sign of the inequality. The sign of the inequality is only affected when we have a negative number in the calculation part. So we can simply take this out from this inequality, and we can write that this entire inequality would be a negative number only when z square minus 2 is a negative number, when z square minus 2 is less than 0. And when is z square minus 2 less than 0? When z is less than 2, right? I've added 2 to both the sides of this inequality. So when z is less than 2, a very, very important thing. I have the upper limit of z square. It has to be less than 2. But what is the lower limit? The lower limit is 0. Again, because of the same thing. Why? Because it's a perfect square. It cannot be a negative number. It's always a non-negative number. What is the smallest non-negative number? It's equal to 0. And that is the reason we say that z square lies between 0 included to not included. Asif, I hope it's clear to you. Because z square is a perfect square. Perfect square cannot be negative. They have to be non-negative numbers, right? That is the reason the minimum value that z square can take would be equal to 0. Right. So what is the answer for this question? The answer for this question is choice D, which 28% of you got correct. Right. I'm gonna clear all the answers from the yes no poll. Tell me, is the solution clear to all of you? And also what we learned in this question. Are all of that clear to all of you? Perfect. Uh, all right, perfect for this. So let me end the poll over here and clear all the answers. Let me take it over here and let's get to the next question. So I'm going to clear all the answers, reopen the poll. Let's have, can you please mark us still solving, guys? Let's move into question number 4. Again, before moving to question number 4, please ensure you understand perfect squares can never ever be negative, right? Perfect squares can never ever be negative. That's something that we have to keep in our mind, right? So let me clear all the answers over here as well. I have the still solving, so let's move on to question number 4 here on your screen. All right, 5 more seconds for this. We had partly solved this question, right? So another 5 seconds. If you have not marked the answers, please mark them on the poll over here. 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 60% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C. That is 3. 20% of you tell me that's choice E, which is 6. That's odd. No, it's way too big a number. Now, it's almost similar looking to the last question, right? But the only thing that we need to do is we need to find out how many values of z square are possible. So we knew that z square, and also that z is an integer. Keep this in mind. We knew that from the last question that z square would lie between 0 and 2. Now, if z is an integer, then the only possible values that z square can take is 0 or 1. Right? So the answer for this question is choice C. If you had chosen choice D, it means that you have taken the values of z and not z square. And what are the values of z for which I have these possible values of 0 and 1? It's either -1 or 0 or 1. Right? So that's the reason the answer for this question is not choice T. Right, let me bring in the yes no polls for a confirmation. Is the solution clear to all of you guys? Is the solution clear to all of you? That sounds perfect. I also see some of you not clear with the solution. So if you could please post the problem you had in the solution, the Q&A pod, either of me or Shubhankar can take that, guys. So if you have a question, please do let us know. We'll help you out, right? So with that, let me take the yes no poll over here, clear all the answers, and I'll also clear all the answers for this poll. We'll now move on to the fifth question now. But before moving to the fifth question, some preliminary idea of what we did in the first four questions. And what did we learn? The first thing we learned is change the sign of the inequality whenever we multiply the inequality, or whenever we multiply the expression with a negative number. Very, very important. That was used in question number one. Again, something that's really important. Perfect squares are always non-negative. That means they are either zero or they are a positive number. So they are greater than equal to zero, something that we have to keep in mind. We also looked at the wavy line method. We can also solve the with the wavy line method for question number four, but since we already solved that question before, it was easy for us. Next, there would be certain parts of the expression which are not required. For example, z square plus 4. We simply eliminated that because we know it's a positive number. It's not going to affect the overall expression of ours. So that's also something that you have to keep in mind. Whenever you have a positive number, you can keep that aside, work with the rest part of the question. Constraints are something that's very, very important. A lot of you have had marked minus 5.5. You missed the constraint of x being an integer. You marked you could not take 0 as a non-negative number, and then that's the reason you marked a incorrect answer. So these things again are very important. Lastly, in the last question you might have also answered the values for z and not z square. So reading the question statement is also something that's really, really important. Now, if you want to get to a good GMAT quant score, these are the good habits that we are talking about. If you inculcate these habits, it would be a easy journey for you. If you do not inculcate these habits, you would keep on making mistakes. I'll not call them silly mistakes, because silly is definitely not a word that I would like to associate with a mistake, but it's a big mistake, right? So you need to get a hold of them as soon as possible. With that, let's move on to the fifth question. Can I please have some still solvings, please? Please mark still solving. Let's get 50 people now mark a still solving. All right, I've reduced that count from a 60 to 50. I can see 45 of you have marked. So there are some people who are not participating, which I would ask too. All right, I have 50 still solvings. Thanks a lot for this. Let's now move ahead to the fifth question. A very interesting question, my personal favorite. Here it is on your screen. All right, 10 more seconds for this question. I see that you people are taking a bit time. So if not mark the answers, please mark them. All right, I still see a lot of you not marking the answers. So last 5 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. So let me end the poll over here and we'll move on to solving this question. But before that, I've opened the short answer pod. I want you people to tell me how was this question, guys? How did you like, how did you feel this question was? Okay, I'm see. Oh, horrible. No, not at all. So, we'll talk about this question. But essentially, the answer for this question can also would be, we can find this out. Yes, this is definitely a 700 plus, right? This is definitely a 700 plus. Now, before I move into the question, and let's just talk for a minute over here. What is given in the question? X and y are positive integers. So I start, I've been given two inequalities. What is the positive difference between the minimum possible value of x and minimum value of y? So the question is long. We need to read it 2 or 3 times to understand it for the first time. But essentially, we're talking about values of x and values of y. Now, what do I do to calculate the values of x? We have done in the last question, right? uh, in the last kind of questions that we had been solving, how do we get only one value out of two inequalities? What do we do to get the value of x? What do we do? Please post it in the short answer pod. We eliminate y. Absolutely correct, absolutely correct. So first we need to eliminate y to get to the value of x. We also need the value of y. How do we get to the value of y? How do we get to the value of y? We eliminate x. Absolutely correct. So this is something that we had already done in the last questions, but here in this question we need to do it twice. Once we do that process twice, the question is done, right? So thank you for your answers. I'll essentially, let me clear all the answers from here and let's delve into this question. So I need to eliminate x once, I need to eliminate y once to get to the values of x and y, right? We have two inequalities. X plus 2y is greater than 20. 3x minus 30 is less than minus y. We need to find the positive difference. So one thing to note, x and y are positive integers. Second thing to note, and minimum possible value of x. So I'm looking for the minimum value of x and minimum value of y. Two more things to note in this question. So a lot of constraints given in this question, right? What is the first inequality? Fairly simple. X plus 2y is greater than 0. The second inequality is 3x minus 30 is less than minus y. So let's do one thing. Let's make both these inequalities, convert both these inequalities into its standard form. How do we do that? In standard form, everything is on the left hand side of the inequality. On the right hand side, we only have a 0, right? So we take this 20 to the left hand side of this inequality, we get x plus 2y minus 20 is greater than 0. Similarly, we do the same for the second inequality, where we get the value of 3x minus 30 plus y less than 0, and then we multiply this entire equation with minus 1 to get minus 3x minus y plus 30 to be greater than a 0. Now just give me one moment over here. Let me get you the yes no poll and tell me, Is it clear up till this point? We did till the second step. Are every one of you clear with this? All right, sounds perfect. So now let's move ahead from this point. Let me end the poll over here and clear all the answers. All right. Now what we need to do? Let's first find out the value of. No, let's find out the value of x. So we need to eliminate. Eliminate. Let's find the value of y first. Let's eliminate x. Now here I see that I have a plus x, here I see I have a minus 3x. So I need to multiply this equation with 3 so that I have a plus 3x and a minus 3x. 3x gets cancelled, I'll get to the value of y. That is my thought process. So while doing that, I get plus 3x plus 6y minus 60 to be greater than equal to 0. Now once I add these two inequalities, what do I have? I have the value of y minus 6 to be greater than 0 or y to be greater than 6. I'll open the yes no poll. Is it clear till this point? We eliminated x, we went to the value of y. We tried to get the value of y. Clear? Perfect. All right, let me end the poll, clear all the answers. So I know the value of y, y is greater than 6. I'm going to open the short answer poll. If y is greater than 6, what is the minimum possible value of y? And it should not be 8 over here. Let me change that. It would be 6, right? Yes. The minimum possible value of y would be equal to 7. Absolutely correct. Thank you for all of your answers over here. Let me end the poll, clear all the answers. And now I have the value of y. I need to go to the value of x, right? How do I do that? I eliminate y. Now I have this that 3x plus 6y is less than 60, greater than 0, and then I also have that y is greater than 6. Now when I add what I got over here with my second inequality, which is minus 3x minus y plus 30 is greater than 0, when I add that with minus y plus 6 is greater than 0, I can essentially see the y's getting cancelled out, right? So I'll do this. Once I do that, from 30, since I have a minus 6, I'll end up with a 24, and then I have a 3x. So minus 3x plus 24 is greater than 0, or minus x is greater than minus 8. We have it in minus x, so we need to convert this to a positive x. What do? We multiply it with minus 1. A very important thing over here, once we do that, we also would need to change the sign, right? So x would not be greater than 8, but would be less than 8. If x is less than 8, right, and it's also given that x and y are positive integers, then what is the minimum value of x? It's equal to 1. So the minimum value of x is equal to 1. The minimum value of y is equal to 7. What is the positive difference? The positive difference is 6 units. Hence, the answer for this question is choice E. I'm going to open the yes no poll. Tell me, is the solution clear to all of you? That's perfect. I'm also going to open the short answer poll. Was this question, now is the question clear to all of you people who had this question? People who told me that it's very difficult. It's horrible. Someone told me it's horrible. So essentially, the process to solve this question remained same, but it was reiterative. We had to do it twice, once for x, once for y. That was the reason the question was a bit more involved. How many people chose choice E? Okay, let me get the answer poll for all of you and to show this to you. Let me broadcast the results. 31% of you, that is 20 people, told me that the answer for this question is choice E, right? But again, as long as you learn, it's always a positive. It always ends at a positive note, right? So let me take this poll over here. I have a question on. Can you please explain how x is equal to 1? Surely. Now, it's given in this question that x and y are positive integers and x is less than 8. So we need to find out what the minimum possible value of x. What is the minimum possible positive integer? And let me see who was this so that I can ask directly. Wimp, what is the minimum positive integer, minimum value of a positive integer? It's equal to 1, right? And that's how we go to the question. One is the minimum positive integer, right? If it's a non-negative integer, guys, if it's a non-negative integer, what is the minimum value? We did this a couple of minutes back. If it's a non-negative integer, what is the minimum value? Absolutely correct. I'm very happy that you people now are getting these things. It's equal to zero. Right? If it's a positive integer, it's sorry, if it's a non-negative integer, the minimum value is equal to zero. Right? All right, let me end the poll over here, clear all the answers. I'll also clear the answers from this pod, reopen the poll. We'll now move into the first DS question. So can you please mark still solvings? And we'll move ahead with the first DS question for today's session. Okay, I have 35 people. Let's get 20 more people over here. 5 more, please. 3, 2, and 1. Thanks a lot. Let's move ahead with the next question. Question number 6 here on your screen. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds for this question. If you have not put your answers, please put them. Last 5 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. So let me end the poll, broadcast the results, and I can see bullets sprayed all over. So I have almost the same number of people marking choices A, C, and E, and again, same number of people marking choices B and D, as you can see over here. So let's get to this question. Now, Z is an integer such that mod of Z is less than 6. Mod of Z should be less than 6. We need to see if we need to say if Z is positive or not. Now, even before moving into the question, what we need to understand is what is the question stem giving us, right? What is the information that the question stem giving us? The question stem is telling me, is Z a positive number? It's asking me that, and it's giving it also has an important value, that mod of Z is less than 6, and it also tells me that Z is an integer. If Z is an integer and mod of Z is less than 6, The possible values of z are from -5 to +5, which is a total of 11 such values. Now, let me bring in the yes no poll over here and just give me one moment. Let me hide out this one. Let me bring in the yes no poll. How many of you did this step? How many of you did this step? Even before moving into the two statements that we have for the question. I see that's great. I see 24 of you doing this step and then 12 of you not doing this step. Now, if you want to master GMAT data sufficiency, you have to understand the subtle information that the question stem gives you. If you fail to understand that, mastering GMAT data sufficiency would also become a problem to you, right? You might falter at that. So from the next question onwards, whenever a question statement you see, try to infer what information is given in that question statement. Is if there are any hidden information or any subtle information that's there. All right, so I have 11 values of z ranging from this to this, nothing else. So let's move back to the question statement and then let's see. The first statement tells me that mod of z minus 2 is greater than 3, right? And we'll solve it out with the same process. If mod of z minus 2 is greater than 3, we'll consider z minus 2 to be equal to t, and we know that t is greater than 3, but we do not need the value of t, right? So we'll again have to substitute at the end. Now if t is greater than 3, the only possibilities is when the only possibilities is when t is greater than 3 itself, or t is less than -3. Only then mod of t would be greater than 3. So these are the two possibilities, but again we cannot answer in t, we need to answer in z. So we need to replace t with a z over here, right? Once we do that, there are two possibilities. One is z minus 2 is greater than 3, which is this case over here. The second case is z minus 2 is less than -3, the second case over here, right? From the first case, we see that z is greater than 5. From the second case, we see that z is less than -1. Now we had the 11 values, remember, from -5 to +5, the 11 values of z that we had from the question stem. If I now look at these values, I can see from this that z is a negative number, right? Z is a negative number. And from the second part, z is also a positive number. So z can both be positive and negative. But can z take any positive number which is greater than +5? No, it cannot. And since we already had this step from the question statement, we can say that there are no possible positive numbers which z can take. But the values that z can take that coincides or runs parallel to the values we had in the question statement are all negative, right? So from these numbers are negative. And do we have negative numbers between this range? Yes, we have. So that is the reason we say that all the values of z would be negative, and hence statement 1 is a sufficient statement to answer this question. So two very, very important things that we learn in this question. First is we first need to understand what the question stem tells us, and then move on to the statements 1 and 2 to essentially solve out the question in the most effective manner. Had you not solved it out, from this you might say that, all right, z is a positive number over here, z is a negative number over here. So z can be both positive and negative. It's not a sufficient statement. But since we had some previous information, we could understand that no, z is a negative number for this statement. Right? So statement 1 is sufficient. Let's move in to the second statement's analysis. The second statement tells me that mod of z is equal to 2. Now, if mod of z is equal to 2, I can have two possibilities. One is z is equal to +2. The other is z is equal to -2. So, and what was the range that we had previously? It was from -5 to +5. So from -5 to +5, is there a +2? Yes, there is. So there is a possibility that z is a positive number. Is there a -2? Yes, there is. So z can also be negative. Since z can both be negative and positive, we cannot answer the question from this statement. And that is the reason we say that the second statement is not sufficient, which gives us the answer for this statement, for this question, as choice A. And let me bring out the poll over here. What I see is 18% of you have marked choice A for this question. That's all right, but it's more important to learn what we learned in this question. Let's go through them one by one. First is always get the information from the question statement before moving on to statement one and two. Second is whenever you have the information from the question statement, that can help you, eliminate some answer choices in your calculation, what we saw in the first statements analysis, right? So please ensure that you be very mindful of the constraints given in the question. They are a make or break for the question, to be very honest. Right, so let me hide out the yes no poll over here, and let me also clear all the answers from this poll over here. All right, let me reopen the poll. I want all of you to mark as still solving. Let's move on to question number 7, which again is a very nice question. The second DS question that we would be solving today. All right, let's move ahead to question number 7 here on your screen. All right, 10 more seconds for this question, guys. 10 more seconds for this. Let's mark the answers if you have not marked them yet. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let me end the poll over here and broadcast the results. I see 27% of you have marked choice A, 30% of you have marked choice B, another 23% of you have marked choice D, 11% of you think that the answer for this question is option choice E. All right. Now, I'm going to open the short answer poll. I want you to tell me, how was this question? How did you find this question to be? Was it too difficult? Medium, easy? Okay, easy. I see a lot of easies as well. Now, this question I would not say easy. If you found this question easy, then I would say that you are at a very good level in GMAT algebra. This I would also take to be of the medium level, not that difficult, right? Not that difficult. Okay, had to take an assumption. Dhaval, what assumption did you take? Can I please know that? What was the assumption that you took to solve this question? You had to assume that both numbers are positive. All right, let me get the yes no poll. What Dhaval is saying, he had to assume both numbers as positive. Would you assume that in exam scenario? Guys, yes or no? Would you assume that in an exam scenario? Never. Never assume something that's not given in the question, right? Dhaval, a very, very important learning for you. Am I clear to you? And then to everyone else, we cannot assume anything that's not given in the question statement explicitly. Something that's really important, and this is very much frequent in geometry. In geometry, what we see is if a triangle looks like a 90-degree triangle, people assume it's a 90-degree triangle, but it's not given anywhere. It's not measured. It's not given that this angle is 90 degree. But since it looks like one, people assume. But again, that's where the trap is. That's something that you don't want to fall into, right? So okay, thank you for your answers. And then let's move in this question statement. The question statement doesn't give me any information, just asks me whether A is less than B or not. So that is the only thing the question statement gives me. So I essentially have to move into the first and second statement to see if they're sufficient or not. Now, what is the first statement? Let me go back over here. The first statement over here is mod of something is equal to B minus A. I'm going to open the short answer poll. I'm going to ask you this question. If mod of X is equal to, let's say K. If mod of X is equal to K, what can you tell, tell me about K? What are the different inferences you can draw about K? And I've opened the short answer poll. Um, I would want you to tell me your answer over here. So is K a positive integer or is K a non-negative integer? Positive or non-negative? What is a better way to essentially say K to be? It's a non-negative integer, right? It can either be 0 or it can be a positive integer. In the same statement, what we see is mod of something is equal to B minus A. So I'm going to clear all the answers over here. Tell me, what is B minus A? Negative, non-negative, or positive? What is B minus A? Negative, non-negative, or positive? Absolutely correct. It's a non-negative number, right? So B minus A is a non-negative number. That means it's greater than equal to 0. If I take A to the right-hand side of this inequality, I can say that B is greater than equal to A. So there are two possible cases. One is when A is equal to B, when both the numbers are equal. The second is when B is greater than A, right? When B is greater than A. So can we say that A is less than B? No, we cannot say that, right? Because for one case, yes, it is true. For the other, it's not true. So since we have conflicting answers, we would not be able to answer this question with the first statement, and hence statement 1 is not sufficient. I'm bringing the yes no poll over here. Tell me, is it clear to all of you? That's amazing to hear. All right. Now, so what was that we did in this question? What was that? what we did in this question. We just assumed that if mod of x is some number, we have to understand that this number y over here has to be a non-negative number. It either has to be 0 or it has to be greater than 0, right? So that's something that we have to keep in mind. Okay, a very interesting point which Sean has to say. When they say that a and b sounds, when they say a and b, it sounds both are different. Again, it's not given in the question explicitly, correct? So if it's not given in the question, we'll not take it, even if they seem different. But since it's not given in the question, they can also be similar. Sean, I hope that's clear to you. Don't understand the non-negative part. Again, whenever you have a modulus number, a modulus number is always a positive number or equal to 0. It's never a negative number. That is the definition of a modulus number, right? If you're faltering in this, then I would I would rather ask you to go through the concept files once, and I'll give you the link to those concept files once we do the next question, right? All right, so for this question statement, what is not sufficient? What about the second statement? The second statement tells me that a by b is less than 1. All right, a by b is less than 1. Um, so again, there can be two possible cases. If you multiply with b square, if you multiply with b square, what you get? You get that the value of a times b is less than 1, right? If you get the value of a times b is less than 1. So essentially try to understand in this way. If b is a positive number, if b is a positive number, then the sign of this inequality won't change, right? If I multiply it with b. And then what we can say is when I multiply it with b, then a times b, a by b times b becomes a less than 1 times b, which is b. So that means a is less than b. This happens when b is a positive number. What happens when b is a negative number? When b is a negative number, the sign of the inequality would change, right? The less than sign would now become a greater than sign. So what we had previously would change, and then we can say that a is greater than b. So statement 2 alone is not sufficient to answer this question. Again, we use the simple parameters we used to solve all the previous questions. Now that with both these statements, we cannot solve this question. Let's combine both the statements together. From the first statement's analysis, we found out that a can either be equal to b or a can be less than b. From the second statement's analysis, we found out a is either less than b or a is greater than b. What is the common area? The common part over here is a being less than b. So we can answer the question whether a is less than b or not if we combine both the statements together. And that is the reason choice C is the answer for this question. And as per your responses, only 4 of you, that is 6% of you, got this question correct. Difficult, tricky, yes they are, but you know what you need to understand is whatever we used in this question. Okay, let me end the poll over, clear all the answers in the short answer poll. And guys, tell me, whatever we used to solve this question, you knew this from before solving this question, yes or no? Whatever we took to solve this question. I'll explain the second statement again. But tell me, what was that thing that you did not know? It was really tricky. Again, yes, I do. I am with you on that. But we knew everything of this, right? So let's go to the first statement once. In the first statement, we definitely knew that mod of any number is a non-negative number. This is something we knew. So again, something that we have been doing in the last questions, right? In the second one, what do we have? The second statement, and a lot of you have an issue, so let me explain the second statement once more. In the second statement, what's given? It's given that a by b is less than 1, right? A by b is less than 1. So let me take b to be a positive number. If b is a positive number, let me multiply a by b with a b. to both the sides of this inequality in times 1 times b, right? This is what we have, 1 times b, right? So a by b times b, I have the b's cancelling out. I have a on the right hand side, sorry, on the left hand side, and then a less than symbol, and then a b on the right hand side. Is this clear to all of you? From if b is greater than 0, if b is a positive number, then a is less than b, right? All right, let's move on to the next part. The next part tells me what if b is a negative number. We'll do the same process. I have what, a by b, and this is less than 1 according to the question, right? Now b is a negative number. If I multiply b to to both the sides of this inequality, what do I have? I have, these would cancel out, b's would cancel out. I have a. Now, since b is a negative number, the sign of the inequality would change, right? The sign of the inequality would change to a positive, to a greater than sign, and then I have a b. So from here, we say that a is greater than b. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? People who had an issue previously, I hope it's clear, right? All right, that's perfect. Now, someone asked me, can b be a 0? No, b can never be a 0. If b becomes a 0, then a by b is undefined, right? We cannot have b to be equal to 0. That's out of scope of GMAT, right? Again, something that we have to keep in mind. Denominator cannot be equal to 0. All right, then. Let me bring in the yes no poll. Tell me, is the solution clear to all of you? People who found it tricky, people who found it difficult. Is it clear? That's perfect. All right. Then what I'll do is I'll hide out the part over here. Yes, I'll again go to the when they are together. Perfect. Sure, sure, sure. So from the first statement, what did we get? And just give me one moment. When are they together? This is yes, before I change the sign again. Why? Because b is a negative number, right? Okay, so Yasmin has a Yasmin, to you. Now, from the first statement's analysis, what did we find out? Either a is equal to b or a is less than b. From the second statement's analysis, sorry for that. What did we find out? A is either less than b or a is greater than b. So what is the common part in both of these? The common part is marked in yellow, which is when a is less than b. Is it clear to you? All right, that's perfect. Cool. Let's now move into the. So let me hide out the poll over here, and let me bring the yes no poll. Let me also clear all the answers. All right. Now, how many of you think, and mark it in the yes no poll, how many of you think that to master GMAT quant, you need to be a math whiz? How many of you think that? I see 9 of you tell me that yes, you need to be you need to be a math whiz. But again, you don't need to know quick strategies. Is that the correct word? You just need to inculcate some good habits. Did we learn any quick strategies today, Vinay? We did not, right? These were normal concepts, normal application of concepts. These were not strategies. These were not short tricks either, right? Reading carefully, again, something very, very important. So what you need to understand is to go to that target quant score of yours. You need to have a very good understanding of the concepts that are there that are there in the chapter. And then once you know the concepts, you also need to understand what are the different ways you apply the concepts. With that, you also need to understand the process skills like visualization, like inferring information. So these are the different things that you need to inculcate within a habit. When you take that as in your regular diet, I don't see a Q50 or a Q51 anywhere out of your radar, to be very, very honest. I can sit with you all day long, and I'll just show you that even the toughest GMAT questions, they would require you to go through the easiest concepts that are there in the chapter, right? So you need to understand the concepts, you need to understand the application process of the concepts. So essentially, you don't need to be a math whiz, you just need to be a normal person who is diligent, who is ready to put in the efforts, right? So I'll give you some examples. This person Krish over here, and he started with this fact that essentially he was a person who was way too strong in maths, right? But in GMAT quant he suffered tremendously, and what was the reason? He was failing in the traps that were there in the questions, right? He were taking those random numbers to solve questions, and that's not the way to solve questions. Then he understood that no, that's not it. You need to understand what is the right process of solving questions. You need to apply those concepts that you have learned in the right manner. So once you do that, you would get to that Q51 with very ease, right? He used a scholarinium tool, and the scholarinium tool gave him a lot of feedback. And then once he took that feedback, he went on to score a perfect Q51. His starting score was way less, right? So that is something that you have to keep in mind, that if you are good at GMAT, if you are good at math, it's not a hard and fast rule that you would also be good at GMAT quant. The second story of Leonardo, now again, a very interesting story, a very motivating story. Leonardo was not being able to cross that Q50 or Q45 mark. He worked really hard, but he was not being able to do that. Why was that? Because he was not following that methodical approach to solve questions. He was plugging in numbers, and we were making these schoolboy errors that we call of. But then what he did is he used our scholarinium tool, understood where he is going wrong. Is it the concepts? Is it the application of concepts? Once he understood that, and once he also knew the methodical approach to solve questions, he went on to get a Q49, and then after getting a Q49, he got admits from Stern, Tepper, and Wharton. He now has a Wharton admit as well, and Wharton at a Q45, is a very distant dream. So again, did he do something very was this rocket science that he did? Not at all, right? So this is something that all of you need to inculcate. These are just good habits, proper approaches to solve questions. It's a good habit that you need to inculcate within your diet. Not taking numbers to solve questions, not using those shortcuts and short tricks, because when it comes to GMAT quant, and when you are answering good, they would throw good questions at you, right? And then you start making errors, because you are solving them with shortcuts or short trips. The GMAT people who are setting the exam also know that you would be aware of the shortcuts and the tricks, and that is the reason they design the question in that manner, and you are bound to falter. Now, there's no substitute for a methodical approach, to be very honest. So, Agatha has a question for me. What is a scholarinium tool? And the scholarinium tool, if you have not heard about that, you can go to GMAT Club, read all the reviews over there. It's a very big ocean of questions with the proper analytics and feedback. The scholarinium tool tells you where you are strong at, where you are weak at, which are the sections that you need to work upon, right? If you have not used the scholarinium tool, Swagata, I would recommend you to go to EGMAT's platform. Check that out through your free trial. It's available for free. A lot of questions is available for free, and you would have a great experience. And the data that you see, it's amazing, to be very honest. uh, right? So you don't have to do anything. You just have to log into your e-GMAT account. Just Google e-GMAT, log into your account, and you can use that tool over there. Th- that's what we are talking about, right? So essentially, uh, let's look at this student over here. So scholarinium has all the data for you. So let's say quadratic equations. What are you? Are you good average of pure? 92% means you are really good. Inequalities, you are really good. Sorry, exponents, you're really good. Where do you need to work? You need to work on functions. Inside functions, where do you need to work? The scholarinium tool has all the answers to that, right? What is the ratio between theory and scholarinium? What I would say is a 40-60 ratio, to be very honest. You need to learn the concepts using 40% of the time you invest, then 60% of time needs to go to practice. This might change based on your performance in scholarinium as well, right? Okay, the next student that I want to talk, and a lot of you would be in this situation right now. Now, Mazibar was stuck at a Q30, which is around the 20 percentile in the GMAT quant. He took a lot of resources, used a lot of books, but he could not understand what to do because he was not improving. What he then did is he went on to the GMAT course, and he followed the GMAT course e-GMAT course very diligently. He understood the processes of solving questions. Once he did that, he also use the progressive feature of the modules that we have, and that is also similarly something that we did in our session as well. In this session, we did what we started off with easy questions so that you have a very good feel and idea of the concepts and the application processes, then moved on to the difficult questions, and you saw even in the difficult questions we used the same concepts as we used in the warm-up questions, maybe in a different approach, but the concepts again remain the same, right? So Mazibar again here as well, he understood that fact. He used this scholarinium tool. He understood the e-GMAT's way of doing things, and we always tell our students to not apply shortcuts or short tricks. They are not going to help you. They might help you now, but they're not going to help you in the long term, right? And especially when GMAT throws difficult questions at you, when you're going through a very good GMAT quant, right? So even he did that. He followed all the approaches. He followed scholarinium, improved from a Q30 to a Q45, which is around the 60 percentile on GMAT quant. My personal favorite, Guillermo. Now, he had a starting score of only Q38 and he was not improving. And then Q38 is around the 30th percentile, coincidentally, on the GMAT. Then he understood what we tried to teach him. He understood that, to solve questions on the GMAT, you have to have a proper approach to solving questions. And he focused on learning. There were also some areas where he was not that strong, so he went through the concept files, went through the application files, and then got a proper hold on algebra. He then used the scholarinium tool, essentially measured all the data points that he had, and then improved to a Q50, which is around the 87 percentile on the GMAT. And then he also got an interview invite from Wharton. And if you consider Wharton at a Q38, Wharton is nowhere inside the radar, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So guys, understand this again. You just need to inculcate some good habits within yourself. That's it. That's the end line.